live with Dorm Room Degens. I'm going to give it a little bit of time, let some people roll in here, but let me shoot this tweet out real quick, and then we will get into the slate. I know you mentioned the Thursday, the football slate tomorrow. It's a pretty weak slate, but it feels like there's some like undercover value.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing a lot of value. The 9 o'clock game is probably going to be one of my favorite plays so far in college football this year. The line just makes
Okay, well
absolutely no
we'll save
sense.
that. Well,
Yeah,
that's a little teaser. Then we'll save that one for the end. All right, don't let me tweet. Come on, X, Twitter, whatever you are.
feels so good
Let's
for
go, man.
MLB playoffs to be back.
I
Last
know,
couple
dude.
weeks,
Yesterday was awesome.
so
Yesterday was
good.
so
Yeah,
fun.
oh yeah, yeah. Games were electric. I was sweating out Tigers money line in the first game. I don't know if you saw the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah,
That was
that was
insane.
insane. And they're the Tigers are the youngest team in the MLB, right? By like a pretty big margin.
I would assume so. I mean, yeah,
I
they
thought I saw something that they were, and it was like a
I think the
shockingly
oldest
big
the oldest guy on their
margin.
team's Javi Baez, and he's not. I don't even think he's on the postseason roster. That's got to be one of the worst contracts in sports history.
One of the worst contracts in sports history. You're saying?
The Javi Baez one.
What's the breakdown of it? You know, I don't follow baseball to that degree.
Way too much. I mean, they were paying him like a top five shortstop in the league, and I mean, he's not even good enough to play at AAA.
I mean, it's my only living in Chicago. It's my only piece of Cubs memorabilia is a Javi Baez jersey, which I took from my
Really?
friend. So
I
it's
mean,
not
Javi
mine.
Baez
Yes,
Cubs. That's an
he
awesome.
was a legend. No,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I know that the joke with him is that he just swings at everything, like no matter
yeah,
what.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
that's been the rag on him. Well, cool. All right, we got some people in here. What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna open up the chat real quick. Make sure everybody's being nice to us. Make sure everybody's being cool. Nikki the Greek, what's going on? Only props. Willie's winners. What's going on, guys? How we doing? Awesome day. We got 4 postseason MLB games. Beautiful day for baseball. And we're here with Dorm Room Degenerates, an absolute sharp, awesome guy. Been on Dub Club for a long time now. Give a little context to him. He went on one of the craziest runs that we've ever seen earlier this season. He went on a 20-1 MLB run. Before we get into the slate, tell me a little bit about that. Give some context to some of the people in the chat right now as to what that run was all about and how you were seeing the board so clearly.
Yeah, I mean that was just nuts. I've always noticed beginning of the MLB season is always super super hard because Vegas doesn't really know who's going to be good. We don't really know who's going to be good. So I've always noticed the like that first 3 week stretch of the MLB season is tough, and then after that, once you can sort of get a read on the teams, it's a lot easier to see the board. But it was actually I had just gotten back from Hawaii and got back to my computer and made a little tweak to the computer algorithm that I use, and then boom, just rattled off. We went like 7-0, 5-0, 7-1. It was unbelievable. We literally just did not lose any bets, and that's what we're doing in the NFL right now too. We're just literally not losing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're, paying attention in the off season, when you're really putting in that work and doing the research, a lot of things, and obviously it's not like the books aren't, obviously they're much more equipped than we are, but there are going to be those discrepancies. And if you're paying attention, you can find those early off in seasons. And, that's proven to be true now in football. You just went 7-1 last weekend. I think you're on like an 8-0 straight play in NFL. Is that correct?
8-0 last 8 NFL plays, 6-2 last 8 college football plays. So
Yeah,
14 and
that's
2
insane.
last 16 football plays. Yeah, it's the same
That's
thing though. Like
insane.
every sport for me, it's always the first like 3 weeks are the hardest. They're always a grind, and then after that, it just gets so much easier once you can get a read on the teams and you get a read, and you have some data behind bets and stuff like that. Like I use a bunch of trends, and a lot of the trends don't take place until 3 weeks into the season, so week 4. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's way easier to be profitable after that. So that we're starting to
Yeah.
see. I mean, baseball was hot at the end of the year, and football's starting to cook now. So we've had some massive months recently.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've been killing it on every sport. Your subscribers are very happy. For people who don't know him too, this guy was one of the, at least for me that I saw, one of the OG kind of like guys who were blown up on TikTok. He isn't as big on Twitter. He doesn't have as long of a history on Twitter, but he was one of the people that I think brought gambling Twitter over to TikTok. And as much as TikTok hates gambling content, he still grew a huge following and has a ton of subscribers. And the reason is because he's so sharp and consistent. So I'd love to get into the games today. We got, a great 4-game slate coming off of just an awesome day of baseball yesterday. Fully candid, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I think most people know that about me. But postseason baseball is a blast. Come October, late September, it's been awesome. I've actually started paying attention. I think I'm like most casuals where the air gets a little cooler and now it's kind of baseball time a little bit. But for somebody like you who's been so dialed in throughout the season and knows that baseball is the most profitable sport to bet on because of how much action there is and how many opportunities there are to find discrepancies, you're locked in. And so what teams are hot. You've been following it closely. So I'd love to go through this slate. I mean, we're starting in Houston today. I think the whole world's rooting against the Astros. Tigers are a really fun story. One of our support guys, Matt, who I think you may have talked to at some point, a Detroit guy's just been talking about them for so long. He's been in our Slack saying, hey, grab a future on them. They're going to the playoffs. Like, this team is getting hot. They're figuring it out. I'd love to hear your take on that game. The Houston is the favorite at, I believe they're minus 180 right now on FanDuel. The total is 7.5. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, to me, yesterday we had the Tigers on the money line. That was just disrespectful with Tarek Skubal on the bump, best pitcher in baseball for the Tigers. Just a disrespectful line. Obviously, we had to sweat that out in the bottom of the ninth, but really the Tigers dominated from the second inning, right? They jumped all over the Astros, go up 3-0. And honestly, that game could have been worse. Like, they left so many runners on base. They left bases loaded a couple of times, runners on second and third. The Astros didn't have anything until the ninth inning. Do I think the Tigers are going to win? No. Do I think the Tigers should be plus 160? Absolutely not. There's just no way with this Astros team, who hasn't been as good in years past, that the Tigers, who are arguably the hottest team in baseball, should be plus 160. So there's absolutely no value on the Astros, regardless of whether they win or not. The value is 100% on the Tigers. The Tigers should be about plus 130, plus 140 in this game, somewhere in there. So if you're getting a plus 160, plus 165, that's awesome value. And that's not saying that they're going to win the game. It's just long-term that's going to be an ROI positive bet.
What do you think the rationale behind Houston's evaluation is? Is it just historical success and public awareness of Houston and how good they've been, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, well, they opened up at minus 155 last night. And at minus 155, I would have taken the Astros. But now that we've seen this move, I'm looking at it now on Caesars, it's up to minus 190. And I think it might get to 200 right before the first pitch. So It's just that narrative. Like, there's no way the Astros lose 2 in a row at home. Like, they've won 18 World Series in the last 5 years. There's no way they lose to back-to-back games at home. But it's baseball, right? In another sport, like hockey or, home field advantage or home ice, home court, whatever advantage matters a little bit more. Baseball matters a little bit, but not nearly as much as other sports, right? So home and away, I don't think the Tigers care, right? Like you said, one of the youngest teams in baseball, they just don't care. They're going to go out, they're going to play.
They got nothing to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. No one thinks they're going to win, right? And I played baseball in college. My mentality, whenever we had a playoff series like this, if you get the first one, put them away right away. Especially if you're an underdog, put them away. Don't even get to game 3, right? Because game 3, the more experienced team, they're going to be more calm. Young teams are going to be super jittery. Put them away before you get that feeling in game 3, So if I'm betting on this game, it'd be the Tigers. We do have a premium play on the total, so I actually like the total play a little bit better. But if you're looking for something to take in this game, I think the Tigers have some good value.
Yeah, and he mentioned it. He's got a premium play. I'm dropping the link underneath the stream right now. If you guys are in here, he's doing a buy one, get one free on his month package. He's got a ton of subscribers for a reason, guys. He's super consistent. So not right now. Wait until the stream's over because we want you guys in here hanging out with us and talking ball. But after the stream is done, go underneath there and check out his DubClub. And, he's got a ton of plays in there, and the total on this game is one of them. So We'll go to the next one in the afternoon slate. We got Kansas City Royals at the Orioles. Orioles are a -152 favorite on FanDuel right now. The total is also 7.5. What do you like for this game, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, so I don't have an official premium play on this game, spread, total money line, anything like that. But I do have a couple reads that I like. So the Orioles, to me, I was like, okay, this is finally the Orioles year. They started to get hot right before the playoffs, and I'm like, all right, they have a good matchup playing the Royals. The Royals kind of limped into the postseason. They got that 5 seed, but they didn't play their best ball at the end of the year. Orioles were starting to swing the bats really well, and Orioles scored 0 runs yesterday, and it's they can't win playoff baseball games. They got swept last year. I think it was like I heard the stat. Some absurd number of losses in a row in the playoffs. If I'm taking anything, I'm taking the Royals. Better pitcher on the bump. Seth Lugo's been unbelievable this year. Eflin got lit up recently. And the Orioles they don't score runs in the playoffs. They just don't. So I think that the Royals at plus, you could probably get them plus 125, plus 130. I actually think they win this game and end the series. The Orioles are just disappointment after disappointment every single year in the playoffs. So great team, but
Yeah, and
never put it together.
yeah, I know, and even as a casual like myself, I don't even know if I'd be described as a casual. I might be one step below that, but like I was even aware of the Baltimore hype this year, just all their young talent, all those guys at the beginning of the season. I mean, it was everywhere, and maybe they'll pull it out. I don't know, but I think your analysis is probably correct there.
Yeah,
The next game,
I'm also a huge
go ahead.
Bobby Witt guy, so
Oh yeah,
I
he's cashed a lot of tickets for a lot of people this year. I
oh my
think
gosh.
there's been
So
some real Bobby Witt truthers coming out of the
my
woodwork after this
first
season.
bet of the year, my first bet of the year this year was Royals money line against the Twins, and everyone was like, "Dude, you're crazy. The Royals are going to be horrible." Blah blah blah. Now the Royals
Hmm.
lost, right? They lost that game, but I said the Royals are going to be better than the Twins this year. I promise you. They finish higher than them. They make the playoffs, and I think everyone's kind of shocked
Yeah.
by them. But like, the boys are playing some ball. I mean, when
Hmm.
you have the best player in the MLB all around, you're going to win a bunch of baseball games. And total for this game, I'd lean under again. I just don't think the Orioles are going to score runs. I just don't think they're going to score
Yeah.
enough to go over this total. And the Royals really haven't been scoring either. So I'd go under 7.5
Hmm.
again.
Yeah. I mean, another same total for this game, but I think this is probably the one that most people are excited about just because the Mets are super exciting. Their fan base obviously has had really nothing to look forward to. There was a lot of stress, obviously if they got swept and they didn't end up making it, that was going to be like a historical moment in a franchise that's felt a lot of pain over the last couple of years, decades. We got Mets Brewers in Milwaukee. I might find my way up to that game tonight. Actually, from
Really?
Chicago, there's a chance just
Oh,
because it's I don't watch a lot of baseball on TV, but get me in the stadium, get a glizzy in hand, and I'm a baseball guy. You've been there.
yeah, absolutely.
But we got Mets Brewers tonight in Milwaukee. Brewers are a minus 116 favorite on FanDuel right now. The total is 7.5. The Mets are super fun, but the Brewers, have a lot of talent. What do you see in this game?
I don't know if you watched that game yesterday. Um, the Brewers absolutely should have won. Like,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. They stranded so many runners, and the Mets literally scored. They were down 4-3. They scored 5 runs on errors. Some of the worst errors I've ever seen in my life. First of all, Jackson Churio in left field drops a fly ball. Somehow they rule it a hit. I don't even know how, but drops a fly ball. That's a catch 99.9% of the time. Then pitcher forgets to cover first base. Would have been the end of the inning. He ends up stepping on first base. Ground ball to Willie Adames, who's been great defensively, boots it, and then 2 hits. So the Brewers really out-hit the Mets 8-7, and whoever was scoring this game gave the Mets 3 hits that were errors. So really, the Brewers out-hit them 8-4 and lost 8-4. There's absolutely no value on the Mets today. The Brewers are winning. There is no value on the Mets. This Mets team is not good. They have not been playing good baseball. The Brewers are winning today. They're the better baseball team. They should have won yesterday. They're going to come back. They're going to win today. They're going to win the series in New York. I hate the Mets. I love the Mets story. I love the Mets story, but they shouldn't be in the playoffs right now. They should have lost game one to the
Hmm.
Braves. They got lucky. Then they lost game two. They should have lost last night. Just a lot of luck for the Mets. And who knows? Sometimes that's all you need to win a playoff series.
Yeah.
And it does play a huge factor in baseball. But I love to fade luck as much as possible, and the Mets had a ton of it last night. I do think, I mean, the Mets have the better starting pitcher tonight, but I also really like this over. 7.5. Brewers are scoring at least 6 tonight. So 6-2 final, 6-3 final. Brewers are getting it done, and it's going over.
Yeah, I mean, it's you mentioned it. It's like this team just seems to keep getting lucky. It's like, do they have Team of Destiny vibes? I know we're so quick to label Teams of Destiny. Like everybody wants to be early to the train of Team of Destiny, America's team, whatever. But from an analytical standpoint, it sounds like the Brewers are just a much better team, and luck can take you far, but can it take you that far?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the Brewers have been there, right? They make the playoffs every single year. The Mets have been in and out over the last 5-6 years. To me, the Brewers are a team of veterans, of class. They do it the right way. They do it every single year. The Mets are just, happy to be there, lucky to be there. I think their luck runs out tonight. The Brewers should, my computer says they should be about minus 160 in this game, right? So at minus 120, you're getting great value on the Brewers money line.
Nice. Yeah. Well, sorry, Mets fans, if you're listening. Dorm is not on your side, but luck might be. It's feeling kind of weird. It's definitely been a weird run for them.
Can happen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, even if I have an edge and I have value, it doesn't matter what I think, right? And they got to play the game. Whoever shows up is going to win. The Brewers make 3 errors.
Right.
The Mets are going to win.
Well, historically, I've trusted your judgment and done very well, so I appreciate the extra units in pocket from that. So
playoff baseball is a whole different beast, though.
True.
Anything.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is another game where, personally, I feel very torn on. I've seen everybody on both sides of this game. I've seen a ton of props getting thrown out for it, too. I feel like this is going to be the most bet game in prime time, last game of the day. Everybody trying to recoup losses, but we got Braves, Padres in San Diego. Pods are a minus 120 favorite. The total is 6.5. The only game that's not a 7.5 total today. I know you said you had a free play for it. I don't know if you've given it out already or if this is when you're giving it out. But give me your take on this game and then give me that free play because I'm going to lock it in before we hop off stream.
Yeah, this is the official release of the free play today. Yesterday, I said, two nights ago when these lines came out, I said I was going to have my play of the year in the first game of the series. It was going to be the Padres because they opened up at minus 140. By the time the next morning when I was going to bet it, they were minus 180, so the value was gone on it. But at minus 140, I mean, that was a joke of a line. Braves had to play a doubleheader, fly from Atlanta to San Diego overnight, play a game against one of the best pitchers in baseball. They never had a chance. They actually out-hit the Padres last night. I know it didn't seem like that because the Padres won this game 4-0, but they hit the ball hard, and they out-hit the Padres. My free play is the Braves on the money line. I absolutely love it. I'm in love with this. The algorithm says they should be minus 130. We got them plus 110. So fantastic value, especially with Max Fried on the bump. He's been better than Joe Musgrove this year. Obviously, Musgrove's been great in the past. He's been great in the playoffs. But this is a great spot for the Braves. They have so much postseason experience. Obviously, they've won a World Series recently, I believe in 2021. Padres have never really gotten it done in the playoffs. I do think the Padres win the series, but tonight the Braves bats. Another stat I didn't know: the Braves bats get done. But another stat I didn't know: the Braves have the highest hard hit percentage in the MLB. Crazy to me, because I would have expected that if they had Ronald Acuna in the lineup and everybody going, but to me, it seemed like the Braves have just kind of been hanging around all year. They haven't been great, but I think tonight the offense gets going. They explode. Matt Olson has a good game. Marcell Ozuna has a good game, and the Bravos get it done. And then as for the total, 6.5 is really weird. I'd be taking the over here. It does scare me. I was
going to ask you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally staying away because it does scare me that we're seeing about 75% of bets on the over, and the line's moving down from 7 to 6.5, which is weird. But I don't see how this game would go under tonight.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask you, especially just the way you're framing your play tonight. It sounds like the bats will get going for the Braves, so it's it seems like that 6.5 total might. I think it was plus money. Yeah, it's plus 100 on. Or no, sorry, it's minus 122 now on FanDuel over 6.5. The
Yeah,
line is moving a little bit on FanDuel right now. It's jumping all over the place. Who
yeah.
knows
I
what
love
that's
seeing the
for?
Braves facing a righty tonight too. Matt Olson's been hot. He's
Mm.
gotten a hit in 17 of his last 20 games. We actually had a 2-unit play on Matt Olson to get a hit last night, cash in the first inning. And I love Michael Harris has been scorching hot too. So the Braves' two hottest hitters are both lefties. They're facing a righty tonight. And for Ozuna, it doesn't matter. He crushes both righties and lefties. So I think that the Bravos, their veterans step up, their leadership steps up, and they put in a
Hmm.
good performance tonight.
Well, I wanted to just talk to you about baseball today, but you've been so hot in football that we have to talk a little bit of football, and obviously, that's what I want to talk about no matter
Yes,
what.
sir.
But tomorrow's card, I think, upon first glance, is just a little bit lackluster. We have the primetime, NFC South game. We've got the Bucks Falcons, but we've also got two college football games, Texas State and Troy, and then the UTEP. Who does UTEP play? Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, yep.
Yeah, yeah. What do you have for tomorrow night? What are you looking at? I know you've been super sharp on both college football and NFL. It's a three-game slate between the two. Are you looking at any of these games in particular?
Yeah, I actually like the college football slate better than I like the NFL slate for betting purposes. So we'll talk about NFL really quick. We had the Bucks this past weekend and the Falcons. So I was actually on both these teams this past weekend. Obviously, the Bucks they look great. I mean, 3-1. They just dismantled the Eagles. They're definitely the better team. Vegas loves the Falcons. I don't know if you've noticed these lines, but small underdog against the Chiefs, favorites against the Saints, right? The books respect the Falcons. I think if you're taking anything here, it's Falcons money line. I think it's a great spot for them. We know the NFC South is always a cluster,
Weird.
right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna have three and two teams, and then the Panthers after this week, most likely. So yeah, I think the Falcons probably get it done on in prime time. Kirk Cousins has actually been one of the better quarterbacks in prime time. Like I know everyone prime time Kirk, blah blah
It's
blah.
flipped. Yeah, it's flipped
Yeah,
now
he's been great in
this
prime
year.
time. So yeah,
What was it, that Monday Night Football game against the Eagles, or was it Thursday Night Football? That he had a primetime game earlier this year
yeah, he
when they beat
could.
the Eagles on
Right.
that last drive,
Last
and he was
drive. Yeah, I don't
cooking.
remember if it was Thursday or I think it might have been Thursday. I don't remember. But yeah, yeah, he's been awesome in prime time ever since he
Hmm.
went to the Vikings. But college football, I think, is where the real value at. First game is Texas State Troy. Texas State is arguably the most overvalued team in the country so far this year. I don't know if you've seen this, but they were favorites against Arizona State, which made no sense. And then they were also -8.5 against Sam Houston last week. And Houston is better than Texas State, and Sam Houston beat them. So Texas State's not a bad football team, but they're constantly getting overvalued by the books. If I'm taking anything in this game, it is Troy. If I can get them plus 14 or 14.5, that'd be awesome. Two touchdowns. There's just no way Texas State is winning by more than two scores. But my favorite play is so square the later game, but it's Sam Houston -10.5. UTEP is the worst team in the country. Like dead last worst FBS team in the entire country. And Sam Houston's good. Like Sam Houston is actually a legit football team. Like they have good athletes, good football players. 10.5 is a joke here. Like if this gets down to
You
9.5, it might be a 3-unit play.
you don't think UTEP's getting any juice from the Mountain West announcement? You don't think coming off of that there's going to be any extra excitement in the building or anything like that? You think this Sam Houston's just clears them that much?
I mean, they're so bad. Like they played Colorado State last week, and Colorado State is not a good football team at all. They lost by 10. Right? They lost by 10 to Colorado
Mm,
State. They're going to lose by 10 to Sam Houston without a doubt. I mean, you just look
yeah,
back at their games, like losing to Southern Utah. That can't happen if you're an FBS
yeah, that's
football team,
crazy.
especially in
Yeah,
Texas. You like
yeah,
how's that even
yeah.
possible?
You in-state recruiting like that should never happen. That's
That
crazy.
absolutely not. But Sam Houston's actually good this year. If you guys are looking for like a small wagon, they've been absolute money. Other than one game when they got blown out by UCF, they've been
Hmm.
awesome. They've been a covering machine.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like your take on Troy. They have the one dude. Iowa played Troy. Of course, I'm sneaking an Iowa reference in here. You know me. Iowa played Troy earlier this season. The first half, Troy was actually kind of looked like the better team, but it was only because this one guy who returned a punt, had a deep ball. He was basically their entire team, and if he was doing that against Iowa's defense,
Right.
I feel like he's going for 350, 400 yards receiving all purpose in a game
Was it
like this.
Devontae
So
Devontae Ross?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's
Absolute.
awesome. He's famous.
He might be league bound.
Yeah,
That dude
he
is
already has
crazy.
like 30 catches this year or something like that in 5
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. He's been the best player on the field in pretty much every game he's played, even against a team like Iowa. So
I'm gonna pull up his
I really
stats.
like that. Yeah, I really like that play on, or maybe not play, but at least your perspective on Troy.
7 for 103 and a touchdown against Nevada. 5 for 142 and 2 touchdowns against Iowa. 11 for 229 and 3 touchdowns against Florida A&M.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's counting. That might just be receiving stats. I don't think that's counting his punt return for a touchdown. And he had one called back. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, you got to bet on athletes sometimes.
In college specifically, yeah, it's just. I mean, Luther Burden is a great example of a guy who's just carrying a team, from a skill position, not necessarily a quarterback. And you can see what that does to a team like that. But well, Nick, we got another guest coming on here in a couple minutes. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Your perspective is always awesome, especially on baseball, which is something I'm not paying attention to. So I've blindly tailed you a lot this summer, and it's worked in my favor. So I appreciate all the effort that you put into handicapping, and I know all your subscribers do too, because we get a lot of messages from them. So appreciate you coming on, and best of luck on the slate today. If you guys want to tap into his DubClub, the link is right underneath the stream. He's doing buy one get one free month. You got any parting words for the people?
Absolutely, bro. Thank you for having me. It's always good to talk to you. Good to see you. Let's cash tonight. We've won 15 out of our last 16 days. So if you guys want to win bets, join up. It's that simple.
Tap in. All right, Nick. I appreciate it, brother.
See
ya. All right, guys. We're not done though. We have Bet Sharper, who's mostly on TikTok, but just an incredibly smart person. I've met him a couple times, and every time I talk to him, it's just like I learned so much, just specifically about baseball. Both of these guys, Nick and Braden Bet Sharper, who's about to come on here, are just very, very smart minds, specifically in the game of baseball. And we got 4 postseason games today, so why not tap into guys like that? Let me just link up with him real quick and make sure he's getting in here. In the meantime, drop some plays in the chat. Let me see what you guys are on for today. If you got any college football or NFL plays for tomorrow night, I'd love to see what you guys are on. And we will get Bet Sharper here in a second. You're taking Sam Houston alt line for plus money? New bets, what are you getting them at? Minus 13, plus 107 on DK. Lock it in. I mean, sounds like both of you guys are pretty... You have a lot of conviction on that, so I might have to tell you blindly. Some of these chats aren't showing up, guys. I'm not sure why. It's just saying it's like a blank chat. Let me know if you guys are having any issues seeing them. I guess shoot us a DM. Don't leave a chat because I can't read them. But some of the chats are coming in. I'm not sure why all of them are not. Oh, I think he's...
I guess shoot us a DM. Don't leave a chat because I can't.
I think he's in there. Braden, Bet Sharper, what's up, man? Can you hear me? I think you might be muted.
Oh, I think he's...
Should be in here. Is it working?
Yeah, you're in here. Do you have the stream volume up? It might be echoing. Might be hearing myself right now.
Is it? No, not anymore. Is it good?
No. Yeah, we're good now.
Okay.
All right, let me just tweet out that you are on real quick, and then we will get into it. How you been doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm just living life, dude. Your family is Brewers fans, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Me and my mom are the Cubs fans. The rest of the Brewers
Okay.
fans. And all my friends are Brewers fans, so it's not fun.
I thought I remember you telling me that. So this must be, not super fun for you, considering what team is in and what team is out.
I'll say I enjoyed yesterday's game. We'll see if they can lose today.
Yeah, I bet. MLB with Bet Sharper. And you just have the one main Twitter, right? Bet_Sharper.
Yep, that's me.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, for those of you who don't know Bet Sharper, this dude has built an empire on TikTok. He's probably got 15 different TikTok accounts, and they're all the exact same. He goes live on TikTok, doesn't post much other content. He's just on there talking through the process, talking through the board with viewers, and then sends them to his DubClub for his full card. But you see it in the name, Bet Sharper. He's really all about educating people, helping them make better decisions betting, and has just been unbelievably consistent since he's been on DubClub and since I've been aware of him. So, Bet Sharper, welcome to the stream. Appreciate having you on.
Thanks. First time on here. Excited to do this for sure.
Well, obviously yesterday was awesome. I'm a casual baseball fan, and even I was excited and tuned in yesterday, which is hopefully good for the league. Baseball is weirdly becoming like niche, which is crazy. But in the sports world, football is just such a monster that I think us included, people aren't giving enough attention to how much fun and excitement there's been in baseball. But you're somebody who's been super tapped in and is always watching games, always paying attention to what's going on. So we have a 4-game slate today. A lot of fun to be had. I think some really exciting matchups, including your family's favorite, the Brewers. But I'd love to start just getting your thoughts on each game and then maybe give out a free play or any leans that you like from these 4 games today. We'll start off in Houston, where the Stros are your favorite. They're sitting at -178 on FanDuel right now. The total is 7.5. What are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, so it's going to be Tyler Holton for the Tigers. AJ Hinch came out and said they don't know who's going to be throwing because it's pretty much Terry Skubal and nobody else, and he's even acknowledged that himself. So clearly the Tigers don't have an advantage on the mound. Now, if you were to look at Hunter Brown, I do love to look at pitching plus metrics. It's done by Fangraphs. In the second half of the season, pitchers are always changing. What pitches are they throwing, in what counts, where are they throwing them? There's just so much going on. Velocities up and down. So everything included, Hunter Brown is the 52nd best pitcher by pitching plus right now. So that's a 2. That's a number 2 starter. You shouldn't be too scared of Hunter Brown if you are thinking of the Tigers here. So Holton will probably go 1 or 2 innings, probably move it over to a Casey Mize or somebody like that, even though he is scheduled to start tomorrow. The Tigers can win today and they move on. So that's their goal. I'm looking at the Tigers' first 5 innings here as value because I don't want to mess with their bullpen. Don't know who's pitching. And even if we do know who's pitching, they used their 3 best relievers yesterday and they all threw 15-plus pitches. Not great on back-to-backs. The Astros by pitching plus are a much better bullpen with Josh Hader back there. Obviously, if you're losing the 9th, you'll probably lose the game. So Tigers' first 5 innings is what we're looking at. If you want to lay +0.5, you can do that. It's -110. Or you can go straight up money line here if you're really feeling it. I don't think the Tigers are going to get a lot on Hunter Brown, but I think the Tigers' pitching is going to be set up pretty well here, believe it or not, mainly because with no starter, the lineup will not face the same pitcher more than once. So Holton is going to face 1 through 6, and then another pitcher will come in. You won't have Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, and Tucker hitting the same handed pitcher that they just threw. So that's an advantage for the Tigers, and I think they know this. I love the opener strategy. Low market teams like the Brewers, Guardians, and Rays, they do this all the time, and it works for them. So I really like the Tigers' approach today on that one. So,
yeah, no, and the Tigers are a super fun team. I mentioned it in the earlier part of this stream, but I don't know if you've chatted with our support guy, Matt. He's a Detroit guy and has been pounding the table for the Tigers all year. And now, here we are on just a crazy run. So, there's definitely a lot of people rooting for them, and they're a very fun team right now.
Yeah, they are red hot, obviously. Like Dorm said 10 minutes ago, they might be the hottest team in baseball. I don't really ever look at who's hot, who's not, just because every game is independent. But you can definitely argue the momentum's with them. The Astros have been there, done that so many times, and they're against the ropes here. and Justin Verlander didn't even make the wild card roster. So if it doesn't work out with Hunter Brown, I don't know who they're going to go to in this game with their back against the wall. So Tigers jump on them early, they win this game. So
I like that. Yeah, I haven't seen many people on first five, so I think that's maybe more people are, and that's just my timeline. But I haven't seen a lot of it, so I like that take.
yeah, it's not popular, and it's not something I love to do. It's just the bullpen is just so brutal, and we don't know if the Tigers are down by 1 or 2 into the 5th or 6th. They might concede. They might just say, "Okay, we're playing for tomorrow," and then you're gonna end up losing your bet. So that's not what we want.
Yeah. Well, the next game I think is one that some people didn't necessarily expect with the Royals. Obviously, quite the turnaround. Not necessarily a turnaround, but exceeding a lot of expectations that they had preseason. The game is in Baltimore. The Orioles are a -152 favorite on FanDuel right now. The total is 7.5. Is there anything that you're looking at in this game specifically?
There's nothing that I published for this game for subscribers. Seth Lugo and Zach Eflin, they're very similar pitchers. They don't rely on strikeouts, and they rely on command, which I'm more of a stuff guy than a command guy. It typically does prove to be better over time. Going back to the pitching plus metric, Seth Lugo is 46th in baseball in the second half, and I believe Eflin is 35, so you can give the advantage to Zach Eflin and the Orioles on the mound. A lot of people this season have been riding Seth Lugo. I think he's one of those pitchers who have been getting pretty lucky. I don't want to say that he's a bad pitcher, but there definitely is lucky and unlucky pitchers throughout the season, and Lugo is one of the luckier ones. Even with that being said, the Orioles do have the better bats, clearly, but at -150, like you said, I'm not going to lay -150. I hardly ever lay big favorites like that in baseball, especially. Home field advantage is much bigger than the regular season. Typically, the home team wins 53%, and in the playoffs, it's 58%. So you see a big boost there. But still, I'm not really going to lay 150 here. And it's the same thing with the Astros. The Orioles' backs are against the wall, and they don't have a good bullpen. They just don't. Sarah Anthony Dominguez is probably their best. And Craig Kimbrell got DFA'd a few weeks ago, right before the playoffs. So they're shorthanded back there. If Eflin doesn't go at least 5, they're in trouble. And this is what I've been pretty worried about the Orioles the entire time. I've never been high on the O's. They're a fun team, but I just don't think they're built for the playoffs that well. And
there was so much hype. There was so much hype at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, just Kansas City, first time back in the playoffs since winning the World Series in 2015. They have never been back since. They're feeling it, and my boy Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have another game today. So,
dude, I think I would love to see Bobby Witt's jersey sales this year, and it's probably like half of it is just because of sports bettors. Because I said this earlier, I don't know if you heard, but he's cashed so many people out this year, whether it's home run parlays or just taking straights. That dude has been printing money for a lot of people this year, so he's definitely becoming a new fan favorite. But right now, the fan favorite, I don't know if you could look at it as the Tigers or this, other team in New York. I don't know if you've heard of them, the New York Mets. That is a team of destiny, a team of luck, America's team, fan favorite, whatever you want to call it. One of those teams that just has a little bit of that juice, that inexplicable kind of X factor around them right now, and a fan base that's, about as starving as it gets for any type of legitimate success. So is there anything, I know, I mentioned earlier your family's a bunch of Brewers fans, so we'll see what the take is on this, but anything that stands out to you in that game?
Yeah, I do have something here published. It's the top payroll in baseball versus the bottom 10 payroll in baseball. You would think that favors the Mets. The Mets do not spend very intelligently. The Brewers do. In this game, Sean Manaea versus Montas. If you were to just look at ERA since the second half, Manaea's been on an absolute great run up until the last outing in which he faced the Brewers. He didn't even make it to the 5th. He gave up 4 or 5 runs, I forget. The Brewers got on him. Montas was traded from the Reds. And since the trade, his strikeout rate has jumped up. And I'm not exactly sure what the Brewers did, but the stuff plus has jumped and the pitching plus has jumped. So whatever the Brewers were looking at with Montas, it's working. you could actually argue that he's their best starting pitcher right now, even better than Peralta. Was talking with a couple of my Brewer buddies yesterday, and I was trying to go to war for Frankie Montas because of the metrics I'm looking at, and they didn't agree with me. But today, I think Montas has the advantage over Minaya. In the second half, he's the 53rd best pitcher, and then Sean Minaya, with all the love that he's getting, is way down here at, I can't even find, 96. Like, this is a number 3 or 4 pitcher at best, but he's getting treated like an ace because he is the ace of the Mets. So I don't see it. If you were to look at offense, it's pretty much a break even. Mets versus Brewers. Brewers backs against the wall. They didn't use their high leverage guys yesterday. They still got Williams. They still got McGill. They have Higuero to beat him. I lean Brewers here. We did publish something. I don't want to give away a first 5 or the full game money line, but it's going to be one of those 2 that you'll receive. It's definitely not the Mets. There's just no way there's value in the Mets. And like Dorm did point out, they did travel. They played a doubleheader and they traveled, and it's going to catch up to them at some point. They're gonna run out of gas. So the Brewers are rested. So
well, you mentioned it. Guys, if you want his full card, it is underneath the stream. I put a link under there. Go check out his DubClub. He's super consistent, has a bunch of subscribers for a reason. And if you want these full plays, if you want his full card, go tap into that. Obviously, playoff baseball, the next couple weeks are going to be a blast. And if you want somebody that's about as tapped in and educated on this stuff as it gets, Bet Sharper is one of them. His link is underneath the stream. But we now move to the night game, where I think a lot of people are going to be trying to recoup losses. A lot of people are looking at this game. Dorm was saying that he thinks it's, that total looks a little bit weird, but the Padres are a minus 118 favorite on FanDuel right now. The total is 6.5 in San Diego. Bet Sharper, what are you seeing in this game?
I actually do lean under in this one. San Diego is one of the toughest ballparks in baseball. It's the 3rd lowest park factor for hitters. It's an aggressive pitcher's park. Just because of the weather, not really the dimensions. And then you got 2 pitchers. Fried, who has an 8-pitch mix. He is the king of soft contact. He will not get a lot of strikeouts, but the hitter just legitimately does not know what's coming from him at all. And then you have Joe Musgrove, who actually leads all of baseball in Stuff Plus over on Fangraphs. Apparently his changeup is one of the best changeups in the history of baseball, according to this one model, which I didn't know, but he has been really, really good. In the second half, the Padres have the 2nd best offense, and they didn't even have Fernando Tatis for most of that. And the Braves are still they don't have Riley, they don't have Acuna, and their backs are against the wall as well. Padres are home. If it was a 50-50 game on paper, you could assume 58% for the Padres because of home field advantage. So I'm actually going to go against Dorm here. I like the Padres. First 5 or full game, I won't specify. But yes, it's not going to be the Braves. The Padres should be at least minus 130 here. We did actually 2 weeks ago bet the Padres at 12-1 to win the World Series. I sent that out to all my subscribers. This team is the best built for the playoffs. They have the second best offense in the second half. They have the 1st best bullpen pitching plus. They have the 3rd best starting pitching plus, and they have 4 really good starters. They can last in a series with the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees in the World Series or something like that. They can last. You have Cease, you have King, who dominated yesterday. You have Musgrove today, and then Yu Darvish as well. Like, that is a really deep and great rotation. Like, whoever the Padres decide to throw, he is going to be a good pitcher. So good luck if you're the Braves here at a pitcher's ballpark trying to manufacture runs. The Braves don't run much as a team, and that's pretty tough when you play at a pitcher's ballpark. You need action on bases. You need small ball. I don't like the Braves here. So Padres it is.
Yeah. Padres it is. I mean, Petco is definitely an interesting one. Have you ever been out there? You ever been to that stadium?
No, I've never been out west. That's something I need to do next year for sure.
Yeah, dude, you got to get out there. It's a really fun environment. I got buddies that live in San Diego, and they go to damn near every game. But I mean, they are, like you said, they're built for this. They have that depth. Comparatively, it just seems like they're ready for this. And I mean, Dorm had me a little bit convinced on that total. Now I'm a little bit indecisive. So it'll probably be a coin flip come game time for me personally on what I'm gonna bet. But I love that take, and I think you're exactly right on the depth of their pitching. Question for you: you are a baseball guy. You are, as invested into baseball as anybody else on DubClub. I am curious to ask: is there any play within these games, any prop, anything that you wouldn't typically handicap that you look at and you go, I might lean, I might sprinkle, or anything that you see that it's like correlated to the game that you think is going to happen, a prop from a pitcher, a hitter, anything that you've looked at that you like that you may not bet but you would.
Yeah, props aren't my thing, but yes, the Brewers bats I think against John Manaea. The market is down. Right, the market is wrong on this. Like I said before, they're treating Manaea like he's a top 30, 40 starter in baseball, and that's just not true. He did just pitch against the Brewers, and he got knocked around. The Brewers against lefties aren't really that good, which is surprising because their three best hitters are all righties, Churio, Contreras, and Adames. I like Adames tonight for total bases or even a home run. This makes a ton of sense. Adames at American Family Field this year has been just absolutely nuclear at the plate. And he is just, if you look at clutch ratings on Fangraphs, one of the most clutch hitters in baseball. Didn't work out yesterday for him, but that is the one pitcher or the one hitter I'd be scared of if I was Manaea in the Mets today. And you can't just pitch around him because there are still hitters that are decent after him. So I like Adames here if you want to go over bases. And I wouldn't go with any steal props in this one just because both are quick to the plate. Manaea is a lefty, hard to steal against lefties, and the Mets don't run that much in general anyway. So just total bases at the plate is what I would do for Adames. If you want to go Churio, I mean, that guy is 20. And even though it pains me to say this as a Cubs fan, the dude is ridiculously good. So there might be value on him too.
Yeah, well, Adames right now, if you're curious, guys, to go yard is plus 400 on FanDuel. I knew I could get a prop out of you. You're a straights guy, and that's why you've made your money, but I knew I could sneak one out. Yeah. Just because, you see these games so well. You watch so much baseball. I am personally, I love props, so I love my side action. I'll always take your totals, always take your straights, build your bankroll. But when it gets juicy, I like to look at people who do this and just pick their brain on a prop that they like out of a slate like this. So, is there anything?
You said plus 400, so that is
yeah.
So that comes out to be a 20% chance to hit a home run today, and he had 32 this season in 160 games. So that's exactly the rate there, and he's going up against a lefty who's overvalued. So like plus 400 that's value, 100%.
Yeah.
Value.
Yeah, and go shop your value. I'm just looking at FanDuel, guys. Always shop your lines. Always get value. Don't just take the first one that you see because there's typically something better out there. Well, we got today's slate. I think that's some incredible insight for these four games. Before I let you go, I'd love to hear maybe if you have not a future bet, but some kind of lean, something that you look at for the entirety of these playoffs that you're going to be watching, whether it's a team, a player, something that people could potentially look at for a future. Is there anything come late October that you see, any team that you like, any player that you like throughout these playoffs?
Yeah, so I talked about the Padres. I love the Padres at 12-1 2 weeks ago. That was before they played the Dodgers. They ended up losing that series, so the odds didn't really shift, but I was willing to take a stab at that. And I'm still comfortable, guys, giving you out Padres plus 700 right now to win the World Series. They're set up to win this series right here. They will go play the Dodgers after this. The Dodgers do not have pitching left. They have Yamamoto, and then who else? You guys, I mean, there's really nobody else. Walker Buehler has looked really bad. Glasnow's out for the year. Clayton Kershaw is obviously horrible in the playoffs, and his stuff has greatly dropped. They have a really good path here to the World Series, and they might end up playing like a team like the Yankees. And if they do, that is the most likely outcome. Garrett Cole they have Garrett Cole, and then who else, guys? Luis Gil, I'm not too scared of. the Padres swing and miss the least in baseball. They strike out the least. They have the second best
Mhm.
WRC plus. I know they are fourth favorites, so it's not like we're taking a huge underdog here. But at plus 700, like you can throw a quarter or a half a unit on this and have some fun because I think they're going to at least reach the World Series. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the public will be all over the Dodgers. I don't even know what their. Do you know what their odds are right now? I'm sure it's just disgusting.
I think I looked; it was like plus 350. It doesn't make any sense. So
Mhm.
if you think about it that way, they're giving the Dodgers a greater than 60% chance to probably then beat the Padres. And yeah, the Dodgers will have home field, but there's no way that converts to minus 150. And minus 150s
Right.
in baseball hardly profit.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, the books are too high on the Dodgers because that's the public wagon. They have Otani, Betts, Freeman. They have all these fun players,
Yep.
but the Padres are maybe better potentially. So
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully people are learning their lesson, which I don't know how they don't learn it in the NFL every year when it feels so obvious and they have all the stars and it's right there. How could they lose? Typically when they lose. So I think this might translate to baseball a little bit if you've been focusing on football. That's why they play the games, guys. Don't forget, there's a reason Vegas makes as much money as they do, and it's because of games where it feels very obvious and it just isn't. So I trust guys like Bet Sharper to give me a little bit different perspective as a casual baseball fan. So very appreciative of that. And Bet Sharper, you're the man. I really appreciate it, man. We've met in person a couple times. I was talking before you hopped on. This guy is so smart. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new. And I put his DubClub link underneath the stream. So if you guys are in here right now and you want to go check out his plays, DubClub is underneath there. Go follow him on TikTok too. Just look up Bet Sharper. It's going to come up with a bunch of accounts. They're probably all him. Tap into some of his live streams because he's just giving so much free value out there on TikTok, and it's awesome what you've built with your community, man. So I really appreciate you hopping on, and if you have any parting words, any extra plays, now is the time.
No, just when you're over on TikTok, I have 31,000 followers, so you know which account to follow. I go
Good.
live for an hour plus before the slate begins daily. Today is one of the only days I won't be just because it's a smaller slate, but look out for me tomorrow, Friday, and then Saturday for college football. We go hard for college. I'm up at 5:30, 6 a.m. grinding for you guys. So the DubClub, it's only $2 a day. I'm not trying to price gouge you guys because I know this is tough sometimes, and I don't win every bet. No one ever does, but I think it's a really strong community. I show my face. I'm honest as all hell, and I just do my absolute best. So for $2 a day, if I earn your business, awesome. And I hope you enjoyed listening. And thanks, Alex, for having me. So
Yeah, well, one quick thing before I get you off here. You mentioned college football. Is there one game? Maybe you don't have to give the play out, but is there anything that sticks out to you early? I know the Thursday slate. Dorm and I were talking about it. It's not enough games for me personally. I wish there was a little bit more action on a Thursday night, but into the weekend is a nice slate. Is there anything that sticks out to you?
there is. I have to get this pulled up. It's going to be Auburn at Georgia. So this line is
Okay.
24 and a half. Like a key number is 24 in football.
Mhm.
7% of all college games end at 24. And when you increase that number or basically if you stratify your search, if the spread is between 18 and 30, that number goes up to 11%, which is exactly where we're at here. So your odds of winning by the hook automatically are just much higher if you're to take Georgia minus 24 and a half here. I can give this one out. I like Auburn plus 24 and a half. Circa and the Westgate are two very sharp books out in the college football world, and they're both hanging 24. And this line has moved 4 points off the open, which typically means you want to hit the other side right before game time. And you can get 24 and a half over at FanDuel DraftKings right now.
Yep.
I don't know how long that's going to last. The public is all over Georgia. They should have won last week.
Which, of course, yeah, it's always the sentiment is coming off a game like that, they're going to play with their hair on fire. They're going to just come out and stomp them and try to run up the score. But sounds like the sharp side might be Auburn.
Yeah, and Auburn's been underperforming this year. They have a losing record at 2-3. They were just a favorite last week against ranked Oklahoma, I believe it was. So the books respect Auburn, and they respect them quite a bit. They opened it at 20, and the public has moved this line to 24.5. I just don't see it. If Auburn doesn't cover, it is what it is. But I think this is a pretty good play here.
I also naturally don't like big spreads with SEC teams, excluding a Vanderbilt or a Mizzou or some of those bottom tier teams. I hate big spreads in the SEC because there's just so much talent on the field on both sides that I just naturally always lean towards the underdog with a big spread like that. But well, cool. Well, okay. I not recommending anybody do it, but I'm gonna go hammer Auburn because I kind of liked it before and now I really like it. So, Braden, Bet Sharper, go follow him on TikTok. Go subscribe to his DubClub. I really appreciate you hopping on, man. And best of luck today. Best of luck on the weekend.
Yep, thank you, and hopefully can see you guys in my lives in the near future. It's fun in there. Definitely drop a follow.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be in there. Hope you guys will be too. Appreciate it, man.
Yep, thank you.